it probably isn't necessary. The other thing is some of those buildings had previous damage, either from vehicle damage on some of them, wear and tear on others. The problem that you run into when you have normal wear on a roof is hail does come and it will damage that. So someone would say, well, if the damage is due to wear and tear, just fix the hail. You can't do that. You have to replace it. So as far as what the county should do, I would say replace the ones that are subject to continued wear, the shingled roofs. The metal ones you can decide. Put the money into some kind of a fund to address issues that come up later, would be an idea. The problem with doing nothing is travelers may not always be the excess insurance carrier. The next carrier comes in, and if you have another event, you right off the bat, you have a dispute as to old versus new. Because right, wrong, or indifferent, August 10th of 2019 is going to be a date when there was a hailstorm. So if another carrier comes in, takes a look at that, they're going to say, well, this may not be ours. And there's evidence of a dispute right there. So I would recommend you fix whatever you can fix, and then, you know, the chances of a metal building getting damaged further is pretty remote. So, any questions, any of this?
I guess so. One question I have is, say we do decide to repair our roofs, and that this money that we have doesn't cover that cost. Where are we at there?
Well, you've got replacement cost down there, so the part that you've been paid is replacement value, is actual cash value that's depreciated. If you do absolutely nothing, that's what you get. If you get into replacing these things, and some of the bigger ones, I think the state law is $80,000 you got to put up for bid, and you're probably more familiar with that. So this will probably have to go out to bid with some of the bigger buildings, including the one that we're in. Until the work is done, an estimate is exactly that, including the claim estimate. So before it started, or all these, if you elect to replace, if they all go exactly to the dime of what the insurance calculation is down, that would be a first. It rarely happens. But replacement cost is exactly that. So until you replace it, the carrier's obligation is ACV. That's what you got. If you do elect to replace it, what I would suggest is once you get a bid from the contractors, if you get a significant difference, let us know. As long as that's done within a reasonable time. Reasonable is always kind of a nebulous term, but I mean, if you waited 10 years, Travelers probably wasn't going to honor the price increase. If you get right after it, and there is a difference in the values, yeah, they need to go back and readjust it. But when all shakes out, you should only have to pay your deductible. So
it should be. It does need to be part of the damage from the hail. You can't open up and find termites and say, okay, we want you to pay for this.
Yeah.
So would have to be directly related. So
yeah.
just kind of a little, I guess, fundamental part of, you know, insurance. You have buildings and your property insured, and the insurer's responsibility is to make you whole again. So you put a building on the schedule for this amount of dollars, and that's what it's worth, and you insure it. Your premium is calculated on that, and then in the event of a loss, the insurance carrier's responsibility is to make you whole again, because you were paying for that coverage. So that's what it is there. You know, as David said, there are some that you may not feel that's necessary, but if we had another hailstorm in 3 months that goes and hits one of these buildings that you didn't repair, then there would maybe some issues there with the adjusting, since you didn't go through with the repairs.
So, see, my issue is we went and looked at the roofs, particularly the fairground roofs. That area didn't get hit with the hailstorm. And there's not damage there. And it's the same thing with the buildings down at the county shop. The vehicles may have got hit, but that's a completely different type of metal. And the metal that's on those buildings doesn't have a dent in it. There's no issue with them, so we're gonna end up spending however X amount of dollars on a roof that has no reason to be replaced. And if we don't replace it, then the next guy comes and says, well, you had a hailstorm in 2019 and you never replaced it, and we have a report of damage. There was no damage.
So you talking about the roping barn?
The roping barn, the weed shed, the 4-H building at the fairgrounds, and the commercial building.
There is photographs, I have photographs of the roping barn, and there is damage to it, so, I mean, the point of our coming here was not to debate over damage. First of all, I haven't seen it. Personally, I haven't seen it, I'm relying on photographs. But that roping barn, yeah, I mean, he pointed out dents on that. That's an example of one, okay, do you really want to replace it? I mean, I wouldn't. It's a metal roof. Metal roofs, we get hail in Montana a lot. It takes big hail to dent a roof, a metal roof like that. And what happens with the damage on that is they have rivets with urethane bushings around them. Sometimes the hailstones hit that divot or that rivet that holds it on, and it can leak there. And the fix to that is to go to either caulk each one of those rivets or to replace it. Metal roofs can be kind of problematic, especially if it has severe hail on it, but to be honest with you, I did see, he circled the areas where there's dents in there. It is what we used to call an appearance allowance, appearance loss. And again, Travelers' policy is they're not going to get into arguments over appearance. They just say, okay, it's got dent, here it is. And then if you elect to do it, fine. If not, keep the ACV. That's essentially the loss to the building. So that would be one to where I would question the wisdom of taking that metal off and replacing it unless it's leaking.
But so what's the consequence down the road if you don't do that though?
Well, I would look at what's the odds of it getting repaired, of getting absolutely, I mean, if it burns down, that's different, but it's takes a huge hailstorm. Again, how old is the building?
Late 70s.
Okay.
79.
That's the $64 question. I mean, I don't know the damage. If you do, you have the money to address it, if you do have to fix it, because that's always there. At least the ACV is always there. But it is a judgment call to make. But to say there's absolutely no damage, no, there is. It's there. They found it.
And I guess the other part of that too is if you take that money and stick it into a fund and then you don't use it and then all of a sudden you have an event, say 10 years down the road, you don't have enough money to fix it. Because the price of steel in 10 years
Yeah,
is gonna be
that's
10
true.
times more than what it is right now.
That's the reason why insurance carriers are usually insistent that you fix. No, they're not gonna be responsible for that, nor will the new carrier. So, but it is a decision that you're gonna have to make. And you would be in the same boat if you did nothing. And the debate is solely gonna be on, is there damage, yes or no? Traveler says there is, and they have evidence that there is.
And they paid you
And they
for it.
paid, so, some of these decisions aren't easy decisions, but doing nothing is not gonna get you to where you're going to want to be either, is my point.
What you're saying though is we could elect to fix rather than replace, and
Yeah.
then keep that money in a fund for further
Yeah.
fixes that might come up in the future.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be one thing you could do, but,
And it would be beneficial to just document what repairs you did do to the area and even letting us know so that it would get attached to that building on the schedule. And then that way in the future, if there is some kind of a discrepancy with another hailstorm or, you know, with a different carrier, then we can go back and say, well, they gave us documentation that they did the repairs here. So, kind of to cover you as far as that part goes, for coverage in the future.
Absolutely. Could you share with us the pictures that you have so that our maintenance staff
Yeah.
knows?
yeah,
And then we can
I
address
have
those
them on a
specifically.
thumb drive, and, being the untechy person that I am, I didn't wanna be messing with a computer, recognize we only had a half an hour of time. But I can get, yeah, I can give you all, I can get the thumb drive copy and have them all.
Okay,
It was quite the file, it was not
Yeah.
something that was
Yeah.
emailable, because there were so many
Right.
photos, so
So-
that makes
we'll
sense.
figure out
And you already have the estimates, I believe. think Bonnie
I believe
sent
we
that
do,
in. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you can see what the photographs, they took photographs of everything, and, including other non-related damage from vehicles and wear and tear and whatnot, so,
Yeah, that could be really beneficial.
yeah.
And I do think that it's important to note that on the property side of things, you're, within this pool, I'm not saying this is how it works out in the commercial world, but within the pool of the counties, we do not underwrite for the property experience, so you don't have an experience rating on your property losses. We know you can't control those hailstorms anyway, it's not like on the liability side, there is an indication for experience rating, if you have lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, those are the things that start to affect your premium, but this won't. That's not saying that there's not going to be an increase for the entire pool. I mean, that's happening on a national level regardless with property rates. So we will only rate, one of the more important things to note in being in the pool is that we're nonprofit. It's just the county's money, pooling their money together to cover the claims. There is no profit margin. There is not, we need to increase the prices because we need to make more money. There isn't that factor at all, so.
That's one of the beauties of being in the pool, is because you wouldn't get penalized for having a storm like this. And, Broadwater County doesn't have any control over that. The fact that you're in it with other people's, we had it pooled together that way. So because we retain, as a trust, we retain $250,000 of the loss, so we only wanted to pay that retention one time. So it was one occurrence spread over a number of different ways, just for the benefit of the pool, so. But the reality of the market with reinsurance or excess is, had not one hailstone fallen in Montana last year, we still would probably be faced with increase in rates, just by the nature of the reinsurance and excess market. And that's just, that would have existed whether you pooled or not. But again, the beauty of being in a pool is so you don't get rated, or your rates, the pool will, the trust is the one that pays the premium, you're a member of it, so there isn't gonna be a calculation of the property loss for Broadwater County,
Okay,
so.
And this isn't something we run into very often. Usually people want more money, they don't wanna, don't give us so much money.
This is a man bites dog situation. It's probably the first time I've had anybody complain that they've been paid too much.
so do you guys have any further questions? Mike, do you? Michelle, from the finance standpoint? All
No, I
right,
think the only thing was if we put that money into a CIP, then we just have to make sure that the only thing that is used for is for the stated damage, that what it was for, so like for the roof. It can't be used for anything else related to the building, only what was, so like if it's roof replacement, that's the only thing the money can be used for, period.
I'm not sure how detailed that would need to be. I'm not aware of all the laws, but I would think that you would need to at least have it into a building maintenance fund of some sort for those reasons. But don't quote me, I'm not an attorney.
Well, that's gonna be your county's decision,
sure,
so.
yeah. And it would probably be a wise decision on our part, we can address that. But yeah, I think that's good advice, so thank you.
And one of the other parts of the pool, which is different than a lot of commercial carriers, is you are given choices, 3 choices for each building that you have. You can put it on the schedule at replacement value, or you can, if it appraises for $1 million, then that's what you have to pay the premium on for replacement value. But you can choose to insure it for a lower stated value, $500,000. In the event of a total loss, you're only gonna get paid $500,000. And the other option is no coverage. You don't have to cover everything for physical damage. Just so you are aware of the risk that you're taking. If there is a complete loss, then you're not getting paid anything. So the trustees did last year vote to fund and provide another round of appraisals. So those will be starting this spring. The state is split into 3 sections, so this area may not get hit till or appraised till the second year, but this could cause some issues with appraisals as well. So if there is significant damage, at least having your decisions made on what you're going to do with the repair and these types of things. So you want to make sure you have adequate insurance coverage on the buildings. But we do have, some counties. One county had a historic building that wasn't on the register or anything like that, but it was, to replace that building would have cost $1.3 million. They were using it as a storage building. So if it did burn down, they weren't going to replace it with the brick and mortar and everything, at the $1.3 million. So they chose to insure it for $300,000. So you do have those options as well.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
Anything further? No? All right.
So please let us know if you have any additional questions. We can help you out.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks.
coming down. We
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks.
Michelle and Mike, thanks for coming. Hey, we're right on time. County website decision, meeting room and annex furniture. I'm gonna toss this one to you, Daryl.
Well,
That's all right?
that's okay. We've been working on this for quite a while, and I think we're to a point where we can probably make some decisions. I guess maybe the first one we'll jump into is, and I think you guys got copies of the quotes for a new commissioner's desk, right?
Mhm.
And one of the quotes was from the Montana Correctional Enterprises, and the other was from the local contractor here, Cadillac Custom Cabinets. The one from the local contractor was $4,200, and the one from the Montana Correctional Enterprises was $2,093. And that was for the 36-inch width is what we were talking about. So with that, then you guys remember you guys got copies of these, right?
Yes.
And then, additionally, there was also a new
Podium?
podium in that price as well. I do believe, and that was, I have to make a correction on the cost on from the local contractor for the cabinet and the pedestal for the podium was $4,200. $2,093 from the Montana Correctional Enterprises for the desk, and what was it? Oh, $274 for a podium.
And that's from DOC.
Yes. Yeah, so. Anyway. And these are the renderings. You guys remember these? Conference halls and other things for the podium. So I guess with that, any questions on that?
Not from
No.
me.
No.
So, do we want to decide?
Both would include seating for 4.
Yes.
And, yeah, I think with what we talked about with Mike, what they've proposed is absolutely, will both work.
Okay, all right. So do we want to go with the Montana Correctional Enterprises quote? Let's say we're quite a bit less expensive?
Yes, I would think so.
Okay, you want me to make a motion?
That'd be great.
Okay, I will move that we go with Montana Correctional Enterprises for the amount of $2,093 for a new commissioner's desk, and also the amount of $274 for a podium.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to purchase the proposal from the Department of Corrections for a commissioner's desk, the price of $2,093, and a podium, $274. Is there any public comment? Corey, please state your name for the record because people can't see who you are.
My name is Corey Swanson, I'm County Attorney. I guess I just want to bring back to your attention that we last year had a proposal from Val Hornsfeld, Clerk of Court, for some updating of some very outdated furniture in the courtroom, and Val did a lot of work on that, and it was a very reasonable amount of money, and the commission didn't pass it, said you need to go back to the state surplus warehouse in Helena first and try that. So I guess I'm, number one, I feel like we're kind of having a different treatment here for what I think are very legitimate needs, and you know, all the district court judges have also remarked that they'd like to see an update in the courtroom. And secondly, ask if you guys went to the state warehouse for surplus first before you decided to purchase this.
Well, no, we've checked. As a matter of fact, that podium right there, Corey, came from state surplus property. So, and as far as for things like this, they only come along once in a while. Kind of have to be there to take advantage of them. So right now, I'm not aware of anything. Not saying that that's something couldn't show up in the future, we just simply don't know.
Shirley, please state your name.
Shirley
for the record.
Wilson. The present chairman of the commissioners relied very heavily on tradition to be elected to the seat that she now sits in. However, there was a letter to the editor in the paper that said this table was made by a local artisan for the commissioners. So if tradition exists in one part, why doesn't it exist in the other? I would like to see you keep the same table. It was made expressly for the commissioners.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Public comment? All right, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Will you follow up on that, Darryl?
I will. I'll
All
follow up.
right. And as far as the courtroom, we just haven't got a report that I'm aware of from Val for a follow-up. So if you guys have seen that, let me know, and we can certainly work with her in the future as soon as we get that. And that would be from the surplus. So the website, are you ready for that, Darryl?
Well, I think we are. I guess maybe going back to our room, remember this diagram that we received on tables and chairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I know that Allison has expressed an interest in trying to use that building, and some other folks as well. So do we want to purchase some tables and chairs that they could use in there for training and for 4-H and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's not a bad idea. Probably look at if this will be for extension, so I would think at least a split. We talked about the plastic tables that
Right.
are very inexpensive and easy to move, because that was an issue, was ease of moving.
Right.
So, yeah, I would think if we could get a report from Allison, we could go ahead and move forward.
Okay. I guess, yeah, we don't really know how many we think we would need.
Right.
Mike and I talked about some different ways to store those tables over there. He's got some ideas on that. That would make it a lot easier for Allison or anybody else
Right.
to have access to those tables, so they're not hauling them long ways and
Mhm.
have to put them up. So I guess, I think there's some good ideas there. So Allison, I guess you want to kind of give us an idea of how many you think that you would need for some of the work that you do, and we can make a decision about what we
Sure.
want to do.
I mean, this is the first time I've heard of it coming out of my budget.
Hey, Allison, if you would, why don't we have you come to the table and
Sure.
sit with us, and we can get into this in depth.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, so this is the first time I've heard of it coming out of my budget, which is gonna make a huge difference because I really don't have much of a budget for extra things like that. Originally, we kinda talked about it, we thought maybe there would be a little wiggle room with the building for some meeting room equipment. And so, I mean, if you're talking about it coming out of my budget, I mean, I'm only gonna probably be able to buy a couple chairs and a couple tables, which,
Well, I think I said split, so we
Yes.
wouldn't be looking at you paying for everything. But I do think if it's for extension and 4-H specifically, that there should be some skin in the game, some buy-in.
sure, and I definitely, I understand that. I also do see a lot of other people using it, just like we did over, in the ambulance building. And, in the ambulance building, we actually received some donations of chairs, which we since donated to someone else. And now I'm wishing we hadn't if I would've known we were gonna have to buy some more. And now I'm not gonna go ask for my donation back, certainly. Because we did, like I said, donate that to another group in the community. So yeah, I mean, I guess I can look into that. I mean, I can tell you right now, my budget is limited since I did not budget for anything like that.
You know, I know that we kind of have, when we took out that loan, we had some money for some of these things that we thought we'd do for remodeling and stuff like that. And I mean, I think we could actually use some of that rather than taking that money out of Allison's budget, you know. I don't think it's gonna be a whole lot.
I wouldn't think so either,
Yeah.
no, but I do think equity, what you do for one, you do for all. So whenever there is a office that wants new furniture, we have them buy it. So, we can certainly find some extras, I think we can go pretty reasonable, but I just think we should have skin in the game from all departments. Certainly we can use the loan for some of that, although the loan is stated specifically it's for renovations, not for furniture. So we'll have to make sure that's okay within our cap.
So then
But-
can I ask if other departments use the meeting room, are they gonna pay to use that facility?
Well, they
And our
did with
tables
the
and chairs.
ambulance building. I
Not
know
the
that-
county, just the outside groups.
Right, so, that would be something that we would be looking at, but, I guess with equity, I would like to have maybe a working meeting on this. This was kind of sprung, I didn't know we'd be talking about this, we haven't worked with you. So maybe if we could have a working meeting and work out some of those details. We share and share alike, for sure, but when we ask other departments to do A, we should be having all departments do A. So, you know, those are things we need to work through, but every department needs to be involved. So I just am not into doing something different for one. Again, resting on the fact that I've been a staunch supporter of 4-H from day one and before. I've been a staunch supporter of your department. This is just trying to be equitable. So let's have a working meeting. If you could do some of the homework though, because we don't have a clue how many tables you think that you need, how many chairs. So if you could put that together, perhaps work with Mike on where it's going to be stored, and then come to us with a package, we can go ahead and work through all those other details.
And I think some of those are, and I don't, I know Daryl's already done a little bit of work, cause he has a diagram that has tables and chairs in it. And so the reason why I have not done any is because, for one, I was not asked to, and I'm fine doing some of that, cause I know that Daryl has already, done some of that work and has already been working on it. And I know he even shared it with all the commissioners at one point, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. And then Mike and I were actually over this morning and talked, a little bit about storage as well.
Good, good.
So,
I think we just need to know what you think your needs are
mhm,
before we make any decision.
mhm, sure.
Yeah, we have talked about this diagram before, but I didn't know that it had come from anything more than a shot in the dark. So if you could give us some specifics that we can work with, I think that would really help us to take that next step.
Mhm.
So we'll go ahead and put that on the agenda in the next coming weeks, let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right,
I can go anytime.
all right, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know we'd be talking about this either.
Well, I just assumed it said, what does it say? Annex furniture, so I just assumed that was furniture, so.
Sure, sure.
uh,
And the other thing would be the meeting chairs too. I think surplus has some of those.
Yeah, and there's
But
quite a few
maybe
there
we
now.
can get-
Do you wanna use the ones that are there now?
Yeah, I think they're
good
pretty
chairs,
nice,
really.
yeah.
I think there's 12 or 13 chairs there.
Yeah,
We could probably get some more that would probably closely match it.
yeah, and surplus has them for $5.
Right,
I
exactly.
think we could easily have some nice complimentary chairs that are kind of the
Yeah.
same style.
That'd be fine.
All right. So website,
Well, let me get my stuff out here. Our website, we had, if you guys remember, we had 2 different meetings. We invited all of our department heads and elected officials to attend one or the other. One was done at their own workstation, one we had a joint meeting where we all met in the courtroom, and I thought their presentations went pretty well. So after that, I asked for comments from everyone that attended, anyway, to give us a recommendation of who they thought would be our best website provider. And did I share that with you guys? Did I give you that?
No.
Okay, there was only actually 2 people that wrote back, and then the other ones here on the bottom are ones that I directly talked to. So maybe I'll let you look at that before I go any further. I thought that I sent that to you guys, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
When's gonna work on that?
hang on just a second. All right. Is this to comment on what your preference would be to that
You-
question that Daryl had asked?
I never got a chance, I
You got-
got the email, and just never got a chance to respond, I didn't get to sit through it.
Okay,
With the presentations and everything that was going on, but I know most government-wide was one of them. I just want to throw my 2 cents in. I don't know how you guys, if you had talked to Brandon or not. They're really good folks to work with. That's who does my webpage. I just, I don't, like I said, I didn't get to sit through your presentation with them. I don't know what they provided you. But if there was any questions about it, if they're workable folks, they are very workable folks. Sometimes I gotta tone her out, Angie, I believe it is. She, every once in a while, she gets a little overabundant with the phone calls, but she's trying to create a good product. So if there was any questions about whether or not they were good to work with, I just wanted to say they were. That's all it was. So, like I said, I didn't get to sit through anything else, so.
thank you.
Okay, perfect. Anyway, I guess you guys read through the comments and what everybody's choices were. I would say that everybody said that they felt Civics Plus was the vendor they felt would serve us the best. It was a comment from our county attorney. He said he could go either way, but maybe to consider a middle range option from government's most wanted government site. As far as for the numbers, how they break out, Civics Plus was $9,300 for their complete website package, and $2,250 annual cost would be to maintain that website and have a team to help us as we go along. They're based in Manhattan, Kansas. It's cloud-based, no servers required. There's unlimited pages. They do nightly off-site backups 24/7, and they are ADA compliant. Along with Civics Plus, there was the option to do Civics Clerk, which is a meeting and agenda management system, and then also a media management system called CP Media. It's kind of expensive to do that whole package. If we wanted to add that on, that's another $11,000. And out of that, $888 of that would be website hosting, which allows video streaming of the meetings, and then that they would be archived after that, and they'd be available on demand for the public or anybody that wanted to watch them. There was an option, they said that we could not do the agenda meeting management system and just do CP Media. If we decided to do that, it would be $6,000. So, and the other option is to use YouTube like we presently are. And I did a follow-up question with Jordan from 6 Plus. He said that they would be happy to help us set up the YouTube and the software and the things that we needed to make that happen. So that's an option for us as well, a lot less expensive option. Maybe something we would consider at this point and see how we do with it. And then maybe someday down the road we could consider the other options as well. Most Wanted Government website, their initial base cost was $9,995. They did offer a less robust version for $5,090. Also I forgot to mention on Civics Plus, they did offer us a payment plan where we could stretch those payments out over a period of 4 years. Yes, 4 years. And also, Most Wanted Government website also offered that same plan, that we could stretch those payments out over a period of time as well. Government Most Wanted annual cost was normally $2,100. They discounted that to $1,995 for us. They're based in Mountain Home, Arkansas. Provide 24/7 unlimited support. They only did offer 28 consecutive days of backup off-site, and then they are ADA compliant as well. Their agenda and meeting management module, they do have one available. They did not give us a price on that, and but as with both of them, there is limited meeting and agenda management, similar to what we're doing now with our current website that Nicole does such a fantastic job on. So we would still be able to post agendas, all the documents that go with those meetings, and things like that. The only difference would be is that we can't timestamp them. So normally, if you had this software, you would timestamp the video as it's streaming, so that if you had a particular interest in one subject, when you went to the on-demand portion, you could go straight to that. You would know exactly where it's at. You wouldn't have to watch the whole meeting. So that's kind of one of the advantages of that. Let's see, and then their video solution was, they did have a third-party vendor that could possibly be used, but also they suggested using the YouTube account as well, which we presently do. So.
Darryl, what was the first price, the more robust price for Most Wanted?
$9,995.
Thank you very much. All right. Mike, any thoughts? My only thought would be the Most Wanted has only 28 consecutive days backup. I think that's a big deal. We had two different court cases. One was against John Wright and the other one Joe Schmaus, wanting videos. And court takes a lot longer than 28 days to put something together. If you have to go back and they've only backed up 28 days, I think that could be a problem for us. So for that reason, I would support the Civics Plus option, because it does have the unlimited, somewhere here.
Yeah.
Unlimited backup and nightly backups, which I think is important.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that does make a difference. I guess the thing, what they're backing up is, they're backing up all the information on our website. I don't know if they're gonna be necessarily backing up any of our video stuff. That's gonna be if we choose the YouTube option. Now, if we did choose their video option, then yes, they would be, then they would be doing that for us. But the YouTube would still be however it works for YouTube.
Yeah, and they just keep it.
I think they just keep piling up, don't they?
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a
And-
pile.
Yeah, and we do have a YouTube account for the Broadwater County.
Yep.
I actually went and looked at that and seen how everything's set up there, so, you know, that might be an option for us for a while, see how it works.
Gives us a chance to kind of baby step into this or phase into it versus all at once.
Yeah.
All right, any staff have any comments or input? Okay. Do you want to go ahead and proceed with oh, Corey, do you have comment?
Yeah, I'm not staff, but I'll throw out a comment. County Attorney Corey Swanson, I visited with Commissioner Folkford about this, and I think anything we do at this point is gonna be kind of a quantum leap forward. So I don't know that we need the biggest, most capable website, because frankly, we won't use probably a lot of those features. So I would say if you can find something that's middle ground that meets the needs, honestly, I think the biggest customer is gonna be the commission. The sheriff's office has a system and has a Facebook page, and so how we integrate that and how we integrate like my office or other offices into that, I think is still to be determined. I would say if you get a middle of the road one that's economical, that's probably gonna more than meet our needs. And as far as the video of the meetings and the social media connection, the big thing I think the public would like to see is the ability to access documents online.
Thank you.
I can answer some of those, Corey. They do have social media interaction, both sites did. And as far as for our sheriff, I asked a specific question of Civic Plus, if his site could be migrated into ours, and they said yes, for sure. So the advantage, I guess, for our sheriff's office is they would no longer have to support a video site on their own. It would be, if they chose to do that, it would.
I don't post my videos.
Yeah. And as far as for, how the site looks, I guess the way I see it happening for us is that we probably would have to form a committee with our departments, because it's gonna take all that input as we start to build this and how they want their particular site to look and the information they wanna share with everybody and how it all works. So it's gonna take some time. I think they said 8 to 12 weeks is probably what it's gonna take to get this up and going. And then we'll make the changes as we go along. As far as for the content for each department or its website page, it's gonna kind of be up to them to help to maintain that and keep it up to date. And surely we'll have some folks that we'll designate that have specific more user rights than others to make those changes for us. Anyway, that's how I see it working.
All right, so if we had a vote today, you could contact whomever and get started with our weeks
I could.
of building.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
I am ready for
Or do you guys want more
Um,
time?
I guess,
I got one question.
yeah.
What's the length of the contract with these people? I mean, if we spend this $9,300 and it's $2,750, is that something we can get out of, like, after 3 years, or it would depend on the payment plan? Are we committed to them forever, or how long are we
Well,
committed?
no, I don't think we're committed to them forever. I mean, there's actually really no contract. I mean, it's just a matter of support. If for some reason we decided to change vendors, I guess we would do that, but.
Okay.
And I guess that's one thing that I look at going into the future, who is gonna provide, I think they both would provide very good support and all that. I don't really see any difference between the two, but,
If when we do take the next step and we have the contract in front of us and there's something that we don't like, we can always negotiate that
Sure.
part of the contract, or not work with that particular vendor because of that,
right.
whatever it is.
I think that, this was, actually, a lot of this information was on the website. It was posted, Nicole posted that on the website as far as what it's not really a contract, it's just their proposal of what they would provide, their deliverables for the $9,300 or the $9,900, whichever it was we decided to spend. And I think that's probably what they'd be locked into.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we decide that we wanna go ahead, I can definitely, make the contact with these folks and get that ball rolling. But then I would ask for help from all of our departments in forming a committee, and so that when we get, what they'll do is they'll send us the information, and probably be a series of I don't know what they'll be, if they'll be web type things or on the phone, but they'll be coaching us through the information they need to build a site.
We can put together a memo, so that people know, one, what the expectations are, what our requests are, how we expect that this will move going forward, and then take whoever's interested in, to be the, kind of the people picking the pictures and the colors and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in order to move forward, we should have a vote for the record on which company we want to go with, and showing approval of the commission to move forward.
You wanna do it, Mike, or want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay, I guess it seems like the recommendation was to go with Civics Plus, so I would recommend that we go with Civics Plus as our website provider, and for an initial cost of $9,300, and then an annual service cost of $2,250.
I'll second the motion.
Right, it's been moved and seconded to contract with Civic Plus for a initial cost of $9,300 and an annual hosting cost of $2,250. Is there any public comment? Public comment? Right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
One thing that I do want to mention is that there'll probably be some additional costs down the road, which will come back before the commission, as we do have to buy a laptop to control the video streaming, and we have some cameras to install over there. We're fortunate that they're already wired for cameras, and also it does have a speaker system in there. So we'll go forward with those recommendations that were made by some of our citizens to be able to hear better, which will require some microphones and some things like that. So we don't know what those costs are yet.
Sure,
So we'll get those costs and we'll bring that before the commission.
sounds good, and some of those would fit with the remodel.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah.
And I want to commend Mike Meyer, our buildings man. He's done a great job on helping us put some of that stuff together, and he's going to be instrumental in installing some of that stuff. So, thanks, Mike.
Nicely done. All right, moving on, we have claims approval process, PILT allocation to pay off claim for Park Beats. And we have, Corey, if you want, what we'll do is kind of give an introduction first, and then we'll take public comment and input here in just a few minutes. So what we have is a claim for, pass that back to you, but there isn't enough money in the fund to cover the claim. So we have an email from the finance officer, and it says that she ran the numbers. The motion that would need to be made is for $25,414.44 to even out the balance for that fund and pay off the entire Park Deeds account.
Was that 25, 414, 44?
Correct, yep. And here is a spreadsheet with that amount. And with this will zero out that entire account.
Can I see that? I haven't seen that.
We can get you a copy of that, Corey. If you wanna come and sit at the table with us, you can do that. So this would be, in addition to the $100,000 that we gave to this account earlier in the year. So what we could do with this 25,000 then is get this bill paid off, and then just this next year, July 1st-ish, is put in 75,000. We have kind of a 2-year waiting period minimum. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in moving forward with that plan,
Yeah.
we can go ahead and get that paid off.
You know, I think Park Beach has been very accommodating on this. And if we could pay it off, I think it would be a great thing to do, personally.
I agree.
I would agree with that.
All right. So we just need a motion to proceed.
Can I offer some thoughts before you do that?
Sure.
So the problem is that the funds are already available. So I went through all this when I submitted my budget memo, kind of seeing this, how this was gonna play out. So at the end of the last budget, there was,
Before you go any further, I think you might be working with some erroneous numbers. So there was talk during the budget season of putting an additional $17,000 or $19,000 into that fund. At one point, we were gonna take it from one source and then another, and then you had asked us to wait until you talked to Bob Denning. Well, the money got put in the fund accidentally, it was not authorized, so your fund is actually short $19,000. So the paperwork you have in front of you, you just need to subtract $19,000. That's what we're working through. So that's why our discussion today is for the 25,000. It's really just an additional $6,206, which is the amount remaining, plus the 19,000 that shows is in your account, but was not authorized to be put in your account. So just to make sure we're all on the same understanding on that.
okay, so right now, what it shows is that the 19,000, this was printed today. This was printed today.
Correct.
This shows that there's 19,000 that was put into the account from Phil last year according to the budget. You're saying that wasn't authorized? Because you guys voted to approve that.
We did not.
I don't know about that one.
It's nowhere in the minutes. So, yeah, that is just an error. We're gonna have to do a budget amendment. So we either do the budget amendment to add in the 25,000, or we do a budget amendment to subtract the 19. And that's based on today's vote. So if we don't do anything, we do have to have a budget amendment to subtract the 19,000. because there was no vote, no authorization for that. It was just an error. Nobody's fault, just simple human error. If we want to put that back in, and we thought it would be wise to just go ahead and pay off part deeds in full, then we need to have a motion today to take from PILT $25,414.44, and that pays off that bill in total. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, but I still don't agree. So, first of all, the Beaverhead County contributed $5,000, and that was deposited, looks like December 19th.
Mhm.
So that was specifically for the Barris litigation. Okay, so that, part of it, what has to happen, it got deposited into general fund cash, because that's what gets deposited apparently. I mean, I gave it to Doug and Debbie to work out where it gets deposited.
That's in statute, and then what it does is it bounces from there to this litigation
Okay,
fund.
that's fine, but I don't think that 5,000 is transferred into the litigation fund.
It's irrelevant. It's still going to be in that fund. It's irrelevant to today's discussion. It does not include the 19 or the amount of the bill.
So I don't have any piece of paper that tells me on what you're saying, what is the actual amount in the Barris litigation fund right now? What is the actual balance?
The actual balance would be whatever we have for, I don't have a cash balance report for today, so whatever that is minus $19,000. So in order to make it full, make it whole, we need to, according to the finance officer, and that's what we're gonna go with, we need to have an infusion from PILT of $25,414.44.
All right, so the problem is this, okay, let me just walk you through what I was tracking when I did the budget and what I was tracking up to this moment. There was $1,700 in that litigation fund left over from the end of last budget. And my request was that carried over and stay in that litigation fund. Then with the 19,000 from PILT, which I was here, I'm pretty sure you guys voted to approve that. That puts us a little over 20,000. Beaverhead County has contributed $5,000. So we're now at about $26,600. That should be in the litigation fund right now, and you wouldn't have to transfer anything out of PILT, anything new. You could just approve the claim. I understood that for whatever reason, the 1,700 didn't carry over, and the 5,000 was in general revenue, and it wasn't in there. So the $25,000 warrant that you guys have there, I withdrew that and submitted a different one for 19,000, saying let's pay that at least now until we get this extra 6,000 figured out. So that's the state of the world as I understood it before walking in here. I've never ever, Debbie's never said to me that the 19,000 was never approved and not supposed to be put in there. So that's brand new information. I'm not sure that it's accurate.
Well, here's what I do remember from that meeting, Corey, that you did say you wanted to check with Bob Denning.
Yeah.
And did that ever happen?
No,
Okay.
because you guys then said, we're gonna approve PILT. I thought you guys voted to approve it
I
that
think,
day.
what I remember, we were under the understanding that we were waiting for you to talk with Bob Denning before we made that. That's how I remember it happening.
Okay, well, shortly thereafter, $19,000 has been on my balance
Right.
sheet from really probably September to today. So I believe you guys had approved it.
And I understand how you would think that. But instead of rehashing, let's go ahead and move forward today. So some of the money that you say was in your account, you have to remember that so far this year, $4,769.53 has been paid out in wages. So it's not just this one bill. So we can make this whole by a vote to transfer $25,414.44 from PILT to this litigation fund. It's a standalone fund, and then we can pay off the bill in full. Is that good with everybody? It's a solution that should leave everybody